Hello again! This is GenXGrownUp, and I am a GenXGrownUp. So why am I making a video from my car going down the interstate? Great question. So I had on my calendar for quite a few months, actually, this event that I kind of written off I wasn't going to go do, but here it is Friday afternoon, and I decided, you know what, I really want to go. What really sealed the deal for me was my friend George, who lives about 3 hours away. We've agreed to meet an hour and a half in the middle, get together and drive the rest of the way up to Atlanta to the Southern-Fried Gameroom Expo. Now this is an event that is right up our alleys. This is pinball machines. This is vintage arcade machines from the 80s. This is antique computers. Well, antique now. To me, they're just computers. But yeah, old computers. All kinds of nerdery that is exactly the kind of stuff that we love as Gen X grown-ups. And then we're going to spend all day tomorrow, Saturday, taking in the sights and sounds and activities and all the cool stuff there is to do at the Southern-Fried Gameroom Expo there in Atlanta. So I thought, hey, this might be a cool video to share with you, all the stuff that we see and do, because if you like the stuff that we like, you're going to like this stuff. So have a look. All right, so as you can see, George and I are here. We met up last night. We made the drive. We got here about 11:30 or so, midnight, checked in. We're up this morning and we're headed into the show. Let's go. So Renaissance Hotel, enormous. We walk in the main kind of atrium and greeted by this giant banner.
Yeah, it was a nice, the atrium at the place was really huge, and it was all the way up to the ceiling, all the floors. It was interior hallways and everything, and then right there in the middle of this beautiful marble and everything was Southern-Fried Gaming Expo.
You know you're in the right place.
Yeah, there was no question.
They had a lot of good t-shirts there. They were actually pretty good designs.
Yeah, I think this one right here was my favorite, the one that kind of modeled The Last Starfighter.
Oh yeah, yep.
So this was something that I found when we were walking around. It was out near the place where you bought your tickets, actually. It's one of the first coin-operated pinball machines ever. I was really fascinated that, you know, all the way back in the 1930s, people were talking about coin-operated entertainment and trying to come up with these ideas.
There's this world's largest Pac-Man thing with like LEDs. They had Galaga on it too, right?
Yeah, there was Galaga, Pac-Man, and then we saw...
yeah, Billy Mitchell.
Billy Mitchell.
They had an event where they would play against Billy Mitchell to see if they could get a higher score than him in like one man or something.
Yep.
One of the big attractions for me is all the stand-up arcade cabinets that they had there.
Pretty much everything I could think of and stuff that I hadn't even seen in years or even thought about. It was really nice.
Yeah, so the thing with these conventions, these expos, is that they're all on free play, or if not on free play, they got like 100 credits in them. And so you walk up and you just play it, right? It's not about how many quarters do you have. It's like, how long do you want to stand there? It's fantastic.
And that's the nice thing. Some of the games back in the day, you know, it was... You couldn't play the game all the way through because of how many quarters it would take to level up whatever you were playing or to get to the next boss or something. Well, in this situation, in this environment, you could play until you completed the game.
That's right, and to play till you're sick of it. So you finish it, or till you're like, yep, I'm maxed out, I know what the ending is like, or whatever.
That's the big attraction for these type of free-play arcade con things now. Yeah. I love these.
Yep.
This was an entire row of fighting games, Tekken and Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat and all those kind of games, and they were all on these Virtua cabinets.
Yep, we played the Street Fighter a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you played and I got destroyed.
Yeah, it happens. And so many people, like you know, younger people, they wouldn't even play a video game if they saw it because it takes a quarter, they don't understand it. But there's no barrier of entry. You can walk up and go, I don't know how to play it, but it's free, I'll try to play it.
Yeah.
And expose you to stuff you've never seen before, you know?
And, you know, all different kinds of variations. I mean, some of these games, just like you're saying, the younger generation would look at the graphics and go, oh, that's horrible. Why would I play that? I've got better at home. But here in this environment, because, you know, it's unique, there's people around and everything, this is as close to what an arcade used to be as we have anymore, and yet it's free. All you have to do is show up.
Yep. Yeah, nothing to lose. So in the room of all the indie game developers, so they had this really awesome game that I want to give a shout out called TwinCop. It's still in development.
Yeah, this was a really unique take. I mean, the way I understood the backstory was it was two police officers that had had some kind of accident, and then the only way that the two guys could survive was their bodies had been merged together.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and so you control together,
right?
So like you both have to share control of the body. Each of you has like shooting with one arm.
Yeah, and you had the two of you had to agree on the movement in order to be able to move forward. You both had to push forward on your stick or move back. And if you didn't, your guy would just kind of freeze right there and you were stuck.
Yeah, and it's super collaborative.
Absolutely.
So, like if you move in the same direction, you heal, and if you move, hit the same buttons at the same time, it does some super power moves or something.
Right, yeah, and there was a thing where we had to defuse a bomb, and the way you had to do that was each one of us were controlling an arm of the scissors that we had to use to cut the wires and trying to move the scissors together.
So here's some guys playing. They weren't as animated as we were. We were talking a lot of trash.
Well, and that's a big part of the game. The developers that were there, they seem to enjoy that part of the game a lot more.
Because if you're not communicating and working together, and it's like, no, go this way, go that way, because like you see how they're fighting over control. So you have those two reticles, a blue and a yellow, and that's the two different people controlling it.
Right. And each one of them, the blue and the yellow corresponded to the arms as well, so they would swing their arms around. And a lot of times you'd end up crossing the stream, so to speak.
Yeah, if you go in the right, like if one guy's trying to go north, the other guy's trying to go south, you don't go anywhere.
Right. And what was really great too were the enemy combatants that we had to fight. I mean, they were some unique.
They were weird.
Combatants.
Yeah.
The
spinning blade guy. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And all these guys with their own lasers and guns and stuff. They were really. It was a very unique game. I had never thought of this concept before.
It's coming out on Steam eventually.
Yeah.
So one of the things they did at TwinCop after we played it is in order to get on their mailing list, they took a picture of each of us and they made us Twin Cops. This is a really cool game. So,
yeah, absolutely.
That comes out on Steam. It's as good as bought.
Yep.
Hey, we found a giant Pac-Man. And here's a bunch of board games that you could check out and play all you wanted. They had all these tables out there, and you checked a bunch out, and so did I. There's they take your driver's license?
Yeah, they took your driver's license. It was first come, first serve on the board games, and what I was really impressed with was how clean and neat all the boxes were. It wasn't like a torn up copy of the game.
Yeah, it wasn't junk.
Brand new, out of the box, like they had just unwrapped it.
So they did a cosplay competition here. I didn't expect that.
Right, and there were some really impressive pieces and some people that put tons of work in. I mean, there was some rotoscope plastic stuff, and I mean, you can see right here that some of these people put a ton of work into these costumes.
Yeah, good looking stuff. So it's several vendor aisles, a lot of groups. There's one all kind of pinball parts.
Yeah, and it was nice because it wasn't just pinball parts. Like there's a paperboy handle and then some rails and
all kinds of miscellaneous stuff.
Yeah,
right. A lot of crafts. Here's some folks making stuffed animals and Pokemon.
This was a guy I really liked, the Rusty Shackles artist.
Guy. Oh,
yeah,
man. So he takes all this great video game iconography and turns it into like stylized as comic book covers. I know I bought probably 5 or 6 things from him.
Yeah, I bought 2 or 3 myself. I mean, it was really nice. Yeah. You have some other vendors here that are selling some old home cartridges.
Yeah, for N64, NES. I saw a few 2600 games. There's a 2600 console back there.
Look
in the
who's
box.
there.
Yay, there's Walter Day.
Yep.
From Twin Galaxies. Here's a bunch of those pinball parts.
Right, and this was the company that was actually, you could buy individual pinballs, which I thought was really neat.
Peace out.
Yeah.
So some of the pinball machines back there that they were either restored or built or whatever.
Yeah, one of their ones they were hawking.
There's one of the artists back there. They got this neon fluorescent stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Good if you're in an altered state of mind, I guess. You enjoy those. Oh, these are the guys, this virtual cab group that make these arcade... Well, they're
pinball.
They're pinball machines, but they're all digital.
What's really unique about these things is how many different sets of pinballs are in one cabinet. I mean, yeah, it's an expensive piece of equipment, but you're not buying just one pinball machine. You're buying, what, thousands?
And you get all these pinball, at least hundreds. Yeah, all these pinball machines, and they feel good. They feel
like a real pinball machine.
It's like 85-90%, I mean, it's not quite there, but it's surprising to get lost in it pretty easily. Tons of different things.
When you first step up to it, you notice that it's an LCD screen, and it does. You don't notice the depth that you might, but really quickly you buy into this world wholeheartedly.
Yeah, it's easy to get lost.
I mean, the buttons, every time I would click a flipper, I could feel the flipper.
Yeah, they have little motion in them, I think. Little bumpers. The guys had this Donkey Kong Jr. remix board that you converted your Donkey Kong Jr. Now, you played it, right? Yeah,
it started out with some of the craziest levels I've ever seen. I mean, we barely even got past the first level.
Yeah, it was hard. I'm going to look for a ROM. So I love this. This was a panel with David Crane, who, amongst other things, Pitfall and Freeway, Atari 2600 games, and the father of, Activision, right? Yeah, he used to be an Atari programmer, but when they wouldn't give credit where credit is due, he and 3 or 4 other programmers from Atari left and created Activision. They're the first third-party publisher.
And I would say that he and his group were instrumental in getting video game designers to be thought of as artists.
So here's an Atari XGS, which was basically an Atari computer turned into a console. And this was in the room that had all kinds of vintage consoles.
Yeah, there were, and you know, again, it's on free play just like the entire place is. And it was nice to see you have young people playing these old vintage games. You have people of our generation, you know, remembering their childhood and playing these games. I think this is one of my favorite parts of the convention is seeing the different generations enjoying the stuff from my youth.
Sure, it's that, you know, I mean, it's all part of the stuff we love. It's the nostalgia about that. It's why we showed up here in the first place, right? But there's a Super Nintendo. I know there was a Virtual Boy over there, but there's a Sega that's maxed out with a CD and a 32X. That thing is...
And you know what's unique to think about, too, is not only do you have all these vintage consoles, but think about that somebody had to go and find all these CRT televisions. I mean, those aren't just on the store shelves anymore.
Right,
somebody had to have those, you know, in a warehouse somewhere or something like
no
that.
Doubt. So it's pretty loud in here, but it has been a long, awesome day. We've spent all day long, we've been playing games, we've been playing tabletop games, we've been playing arcade games, we've been pinball games, we've been shopping and buying art, and it has just been amazing, right? So, like anything, you know, again, imagine that kid, that Gen Xer who grew up in the 80s, you take and drop him here in the middle of this arcade paradise, and he's like, hey, they're all on free play, go nuts. Oh, he would never leave. That's been a look at Southern-Fried Gameroom Expo 2017. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, if you did, please click on the buttons down there. You got your subscribe and your like and your notifications and all that cool stuff. Thanks. I'll see you next time.